Hi everyone, this is Luxthos, and today I'm going to bring you another leveling guide for Diablo 4. Yes, another one, because we just made one recently, but there's been some update, there's been some buff to the way that you gain experience in the game, and I just wanted to make a more concise, more precise, and in order guide to help you level through Diablo 4. Whether you're a brand new player that just got the game, or if you're making an alt and you're a more experienced player, or if you're making a new character in, say, Season 1, this guide should be a valid way for you to get started and level as fast as possible and have the best character that you can have, right? So we're going to get started here. I'm going to divide this into, divide it into campaign leveling for new player, and then we're going to have a skip campaign leveling. So those are going to be the two versions that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to have some general notes that we are going to cover. So let's get started. Campaign leveling. So if you're a brand new player and you still have not completed the campaign, make sure that you focus on this. This is your #1 priority. You want to finish the main story. You want to make sure that you finish it because it's going to unlock a lot of additional things for you, including your mount, which is going to allow you to walk and move through the world a little bit faster. So that is your #1 priority. Second is going to be clearing strongholds and also to get waypoints. Those are going to be very important later on. Right now, they give you some XP as you're leveling and clearing the campaign. So make sure you get as many waypoints as possible to travel faster and make sure that you clear the strongholds as well. I'm going to put a link in the description below to a nice interactive maps that has the location of everything you would want to see. That's going to help you out in locating these and collecting them as you go. Once you're done with the campaign, if you have not hit 50 yet, okay, if you have not hit level 50, what you're going to do is at the end of the campaign, to get a little bit more XP and to get between that 40 to 50 range in order to transition to the next part of the guide and to the next difficulty, you're going to explore. Explore the maps, get your altars, get your side quests done, just try to get a little bit extra experience at the end of the campaign to get between that 40 to 50 range in order to go complete what we call the capstone dungeon that unlocks the next difficulty. So that's going to be very important. Once you get to that 40 to 50 range, you can try to go attempt that first capstone dungeon. It's going to be part of your quest after the campaign, and then that's going to allow you to get to tier 3. So that's all you need right now for this part, for campaign and new player. So you just have to follow this, get that done, and you're going to be good to go. We're now going to move on to the after the campaign. So this is going to be valid for skipping the campaign for an alt, or skipping the campaign in a new season, or if you just got done with your 1 to 50 campaign experience as a new player. So this is, in my opinion, one of the most effective way to level for this part of the game. So what I plan to do and what I've been doing and what's been working really, really well for me is focusing on Legion events. Those will give you a very large amount of experience. They're really, really nice. Make sure that you get there a little bit ahead of time. So these are going to spawn on the map, and they have a timer. So I'm going to give you as well a link in the chat to give you access to that timer so you know when they are coming up. You'll want to head there a little bit ahead of time because there's going to be a little campfire next to them at the start. You're going to want to click it, stand close to it. You'll get a nice little XP boost, and you're going to get some nice XP. Just move with the crowd, move with everybody in the little Legion event, and just kill monster as much as possible. Try to participate. Make sure you guys succeed. Collect the loots, and you're done. You're going to move on to the next step. The next step is going to be the Tree of Whispers. So the Tree of Whispers recently just got a nice buff of XP2, which is really, really nice. Pretty much the only thing you're going to do in there is dungeons. So every 90 minutes, there's going to be 5 dungeons that are going to spawn on the map, right? So 5 dungeons, 1 in each region, 1 in each zone is going to spawn up, which means that you technically have a 90-minute window to go clear all 5 of them before they reset. You don't have to if you're a little bit slower, if your build is not clearing quite as fast, but normally you should be able to get through most of these, but you might run late a little bit, especially if you have not uncovered all of the map and all of the waypoint. It might take you a little bit more traveling time, but your goal is going to be to complete these. Every time that you complete 2 of those dungeons, right, you're going to get 10 Grim Favor that you're going to go turn in to the Tree of Whispers. So this is really straightforward. If you've skipped the campaign or if you've completed the campaign, you'll get access to this new feature called the Tree of Whispers. And every 10 Grim Favors, you can go turn in quests. that will allow you to choose loot, but also give you some nice bonus XP. So that's going to be really, really good. This is going to be one of the best way to gain some experience into that 1 to 50 window. So simply clear 2 dungeons, go back to the tree, complete it, clear another set of 2, go back, complete it, and then if you have 1 more dungeon left, complete it, and then wait for the reset, right? So that's going to be what you're going to be doing. In between, if you see a Legion event, make sure you go complete it. They will give you a lot of XP, so just don't leave a dungeon for it. But, you know, if you're in between 2 run and you see one and you want to time yourself with that timer, try to get it done. It's going to give you some nice bonus. If there's no Legion event that is currently available, and there is no longer any dungeon on the map that you can clear for your level, you're going to want to start exploring. Because there could be some dungeon, especially in the early level, that are going to be locked, right? So some zones are a little bit higher level. So this is just worth mentioning. When you start at level 1 to 10 to 15 maybe, most of the dungeon on the map for the world tree are not going to be available for you. So the first initial 10 level, you might need to just run into the first area, do a couple of events. Just pretty much you can do whatever you want in the first zone. You could also find any of the dungeon in here and repeat it. The goal is just to get those 10 to 15 first level done. You're going to have 1 dungeon that you should be able to do rather effectively. So you're going to want to go complete that. Try to get to that 10, 15. And then you should be able to explore a little bit more areas. Because some dungeon might be level 20, 25. Those are going to be a little bit difficult to complete at level 1, but at 15, some of them could be possible. Depending on how confident you feel about your build and your capability, feel free to explore those higher level dungeon. But for the first couple of level, you're probably going to want to stay in this main area, run around, do some those orange circle events. Make sure that you clear those out. They give good XP. You can do cellars. You can do random dungeons to try to get some of those good first legendary. That's going to be the first step that you're going to want to do here in order to unlock more of the other accessible dungeon. But let's say that you're able to clear most of the dungeon and you end up clearing the entire map of all of the red Tree of Whisper dungeon, right? You got all of your stuff done and there's no Legion event. This is where you're going to want to start running around and clearing strongholds and waypoint. Because if you're either in a new season or a new player, depending on which one, even for both cases, you're going to need to re-clear all the strongholds on the map, and you're going to need to reclaim all the waypoints on the map. So that's going to be super important. You're going to want to do this because you're going to need them to move around, especially to do dungeons, to do Hell Tides events, to do Legion events. It's just going to come in super handy. So make sure that you get those done with your downtime. So that's going to be the easy recipe right here to get from 1 to 50. So again, stay in the first zone, clear some events, do some side quests, do whatever you want in the first zone, but get to 10 to 15 as fast as possible. That first dungeon should be available depending on where it spawns. And then just go ahead and start repeating these. So Legion event anywhere on the map. It can be done at any level in most cases. It's maybe not at the start of the season, but there's always going to be a lot of people there that are going to be there to help and clear. So the level requirement of the zone could not be a problem for most people. The Tree of Whispers, though, you need to make sure that you get enough level to go complete these other dungeons. But then as soon as you get that 10, 15, 20, you'll be able to spam any dungeon all the way to 50. And it's just going to be a breeze. It's going to go super well. Once you get to that bracket of 40 to 50 for the first capstone dungeon, that's going to be your priority. Depending on how confident you are, depending on your gear, your build, you're going to want to go clear the capstone because you want to get to tier 3 as fast as possible. Tier 3 is going to scale your character not only in gear, but in experience quite a lot. So as soon as you feel comfortable, maybe 45, or if you're struggling a little bit more, wait for 50. Go clear that capstone dungeon, get it done, and move all the way to tier 3. Completely skip tier 2. There's no use to it right now. It's just a bait. It's going to slow you down. It's not going to provide anything significant. So completely skip it. Go to tier 3, and then you can start leveling from that 50 to 100. This is actually going to be the best part, in my opinion. So at that point, into that tier 3 zone, you're going to start having access to Nightmare Dungeon. So in order to get your first Nightmare Dungeon sigil, which is what we're going to showcase right now, these little sigils are just keys that are found in the consumable tab. These allow you to unlock a Nightmare Dungeon. And recently there was a buff that made it so that these Nightmare Dungeons, not only you can teleport to them instantly, but they give a lot more XP. And when I'm saying a lot, they give a lot of good XP. I've been getting crazy levels super fast, even in my 90s right here for my level. It's been really, really good. So this is going to become your #1 priority, almost over anything else, in my opinion. So I'm completely cutting out Legion events. Sadly, the travel time to get to them, the wait time period is, in my opinion, going to be a XP loss compared to purely spamming Nightmare Dungeon. So that's what I would recommend that you do. As soon as you get into that tier 3 and you can get your first sigil, you're going to be spamming those. To get that first sigil, you can do Legion events. That is a possibility. Or you can do the Tree of Whisper. So as soon as you get in here, try to complete at least 1 Tree of Whisper. You could do 2 dungeons, then go back, report it, open the cache, and there's a likelihood that you will get a sigil. If you don't get it, you need to repeat until you at least get your first key. These can drop from other sources. For example, Legion events sometimes will drop them from the chest. There's other location for there various activities in the world that will drop them. But my favorite way, it's almost guaranteed, the Tree of Whispers. Just go do 2 dungeon and turn it in. There's like a 50... I don't know what the percentage is, so I'm not going to commit on it. But for me, it's been almost every chest that I've opened almost always have a sigil in it. So you're only going to need to do this once, though, because you just want that first key. Then you're going to open that key, and you're going to go run that dungeon. And you're just going to start repeating the process. So this is going to get you started into that first tier 3 difficulty. You're going to start getting gear, and you're going to start getting stronger, and you're going to start spamming these. Pretty much, you're going to be spamming these all the way to 100. The best way to run these is going to be to make sure that the monster inside the Nightmare Dungeon is at least 3 level higher than you. Okay? And there is a very easy way to figure this out. As long as the monsters are 3 level higher than you, you're going to gain 25% bonus experience. So that's very important. If they're at least minimum 3, if you can do higher, you could, but you're technically losing a little bit of speed, right? If the monster goes too high, you're going to clear a little bit slower. So make sure they're minimum 3, 4, 5 maybe. That's what I would recommend. And the easy way to do this is if you are in tier 3, which you just got to, you simply subtract 50 to your level. If you subtract 50 to your level, so let's say that you're currently 50. Obviously, if you subtract 50, you're left with 0. So you need to start somewhere. You're going to start with level 1. It's going to be fine for these. But let's say that you get to 60, to level 60. If you subtract 50, you're left with 10, which means that you're going to want to run Sigil Keystone or Sigil Token level 10. This is going to ensure that the monsters in there are going to be 63, which is going to be 3 level higher than if you were level 60, right? Got it? So if you're 55, subtract 50, you're running 5. Right? That's going to make sure that those monsters are going to be 3 level higher than you, and you're going to be fine. You're going to keep doing this until you reach that 60 to 70 bracket. And in that 60 to 70 bracket, that's where you can do the last capstone dungeon to unlock tier 4. As soon as you can do it, as soon as you feel strong enough, get in there, kill that boss, destroy that dungeon, and then get your character into tier 4. You're going to get better gear, better XP. Everything is going to be better. Your character is going to start scaling. It's going to be really, really good for you. In tier 4, you're going to keep doing the same thing, except to figure out your sigil level, you're simply going to do minus 51, right? So minus 51 is going to give you the perfect key level to run in order to have monsters that are 3 level higher than you. There's something that I would like to add here. Obviously, Hell Tides are very nice, but unique in their own. So I don't think that Hell Tides are that incredible in terms of experience. They're pretty good. There's a lot of events. There's a lot of thing going on, and they can provide really, really good gear. But the most important thing is that they provide Forgotten Soul. And that is the only way currently right now where you can get Forgotten Soul. So even if your goal right now is to level to 100 as fast as possible, even if you want to get there as fast as possible, make sure that you try to run these while you're leveling, because you're going to want the Forgotten Souls to be able to re-roll your gear and to be able to do some crafting, right? So that's going to be very important. So make sure you do those Hell Tides if possible, if you want to get those currencies. If your goal is just to level, then you can just do Nightmare Dungeons. All the way from as soon as you hit tier 3, all the way to 100, it's going to be the fastest way to level. You'll have your glyph level, you'll be getting gear, you'll be getting a lot of currency. If you salvage and sell gear, you'll get a lot of gold as well. It's just really, really good. While you're doing those Nightmare Dungeon, every once in a while, the Tree of Whisper is going to get completed because the Sigil of the Key will probably end up landing on a dungeon that is rewarding you with Grim Favors. So if you want to make sure that that you keep getting that bonus XP. As soon as you see the Tree of Whisper flash, you'll get like a little sound/alert that is going to pop on your screen. Make sure you go report it, get your XP, and get your character back into Nightmare Dungeons. So that's going to be the most effective way. From 1 to 100, you're just going to repeat this process depending on which stage you're in, and you're easily going to be able to reach that maximum level on your character. So that's pretty much it for the 50 to 100. I'm just going to go over some general notes that I think are quite important to talk about here. The first one that I have noted down here in my notes: make sure that before the next season starts that you have your map and your altars discovered. That's going to be very important because those are going to carry over into the next season. So right now this is an alt, and currently the feature isn't enabled, but technically my main has completed the entire map discovery. I've completed and discovered all of the altars, which means that when the next season starts, all of that will be done. I'll have extra renown right off the bat. I'll be able to know where everything else is on the map, and I'm going to have extra stats from the altars. So very important. Make sure that you use the consumable in-game to get some extra experience. So make sure you use the flask or elixir, whatever you want to call them. They're going to give you 5% experience every 30 minutes. Just make sure you keep using them. Craft new ones with like the cheapest one that you can make to make sure you don't run out of mats. Make sure that you stock on these and use them every 30 minutes. The other notes, I've talked about it a little bit with the Legion events, but make sure that you use the campfire when you're doing the Legion event in the first part of the leveling from 1 to 50. That's going to be very important. Another note, grouping up. So while grouping up can be, you know, it can be good or it can be bad depending on who you group up with. But in general, grouping up in Diablo 4 gives you a nice amount of experience. It gives you a nice little bonus, and it also technically increases your clear speed. So not only grouping up with people gives you a baseline bonus, being close to them gives you an additional bonus to your XP. And if your group is strong enough, you can also clear dungeon more rapidly. Because if it's a multiple path dungeon, everyone can take a different path, and you end up clearing the dungeon even faster because the XP is level-wide. So no matter where your friend is in the dungeon, you're going to get the XP for all of their kills. So that's very, very, very efficient. But it's only going to be efficient if everybody in the party is on the same level, everybody goes at the same speed, and there's not anybody like kind of just dragging down and taking breaks all the time and all that stuff. So I'm somebody that I love to run solo a little bit more because I can make my own schedule. I can take breaks whenever I want and not disturb anybody. That's something that I prefer. Sometimes I'll group up with a friend or two and we'll just speed run for an hour or two and try to get as much XP as possible. And usually that's going to be way more effective than if I'm running solo. So that's something to think about if you have some friends that are playing and if you want to be as efficient as possible. Talking about efficiency, that's going to be my last note, my last point here. Be as efficient as you can. Cut anything that can lose you time. This is the name of the game. In Diablo, in any of these Diablo game, and even pretty much any ARPG, it all comes down to being efficient. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily min-max everything, but you want to make sure that you save the most time possible. And the biggest time loss that I see people doing is looting too many items and also not clearing them or managing them fast enough, right? So that's going to be such a crazy time loss. Let's say that it takes you 10 minutes to complete a Nightmare Dungeon, and then it takes you 5 or 10 minutes to clear your inventory, right? Or you're just like hanging out in town trying to filter through things. I'm going to give you guys a couple tricks. First of all, when you're starting the game, you're going to be only looting what we call regular loot. So it's not sacred, not ancestral, just regular loot. As soon as you get to tier 3 and you have sacred loot, I completely stop looting anything that isn't sacred. As simple as that. And obviously, as soon as you get past level 10, I pretty much never loot blue or magic loot. I'll just loot rare if possible. 10, 15, 20. Depends on what your gear is looking like. So make sure you completely skip on that. And as soon as you get to tier 4, you'll start dropping ancestral. Then I completely stop looting normal and sacred gear, and I only loot ancestral. When I get back in town, usually if I only loot the rare gear and legendaries, obviously this only applies to rare and because legendaries you're going to want to loot all of them because you might find additional power on them. It doesn't matter if they're sacred or ancestral. You just want to have the power possibility on these. So if you're doing this, you should be able to do maybe 2 to 3 dungeon without clearing your inventory, depending on if you're lucky or not. Obviously also depending on if you're looting gem and all that stuff. It could happen that you do a dungeon, your inventory is full in one go. It's possible. You just need to manage it a little bit faster. So one thing that I like to do is as soon as I come back to town here, I like to press the sort button, right? The sort button will sort my entire inventory based on item types, but also item level, right? So if I look over here, it's going to put the helm first, then it's going to put the shield, and then it's going to put like the armor type. So in this case right now for me, it's shield. Then it's going to allocate a two-handed weapon. And then after that, it's going to put one-handed weapon. And then it's going to put your glove, your pants, your boots, your ring, your necklace, right? So knowing that, there is certain threshold of gear that I'm looking for. Right now, my character is pretty high gear, pretty high item level. So I'm not looking pretty much at anything that isn't over 780, 790, 800, even higher than this. For this reason, as soon as I see, for example, a piece of gear that is 784, I already know that all the shield next to it are going to be lower item level. So I already know that I can save a lot of time doing this, right? Because I know that none of them are going to be higher item level than the first one. Obviously, I'm going to look at the legendary. For example, this one is a perfect, so I'm going to keep it. I'm going to go ahead and disenchant it and extract the aspect out of it. Same thing for two-hander weapon. So this one, for example, is 808, so this could be good. I cannot use staff, but it could be good for another class. In this case, it's not really. And then we get to the two-handed sword. As you can see, it's 746. I don't want that item level, so I can safely go ahead and mark all of the other two-handers if there were any. Right now, I got one-hander, same thing. They're all below 800. I don't really care, so I'm going to literally mark all of them as junk. So I'm just pressing spacebar to mark them like this. I'm going to look at the legendary. Don't need. We're going to look over the glove. The glove, you know, item level doesn't matter as much. You can get some really, really good stuff. Pants, too low. And then you understand the concept, right? So as soon as you set a threshold in your mind about what item level you're looking for certain pieces of gear, you want to make sure you mark them as fast as possible. Go to the blacksmith, salvage them, or go to the vendor and sell them, and just be efficient about the way you do it. So just sort your item, make sure that you're only keeping, you're sorting out through it as fast as you can, and make sure that you cut down on all those things that will make you lose time, right? Which is why I recommend spamming Nightmare Dungeon for a big part of this, because they're going to be time efficient. You teleport to them, there's no time travel, and then you get there, you clear them, get out, click the next sigil, and you rinse and repeat. You don't have to walk to Legion event in that last portion of the leveling. You don't have to walk anywhere, right? You just stay and you spam those Nightmare Dungeon with the occasional Hell Tides if needed, and that is going to be, in my opinion, the most efficient way to level up your character. So hopefully that was helpful. I ended up rambling a little bit, but there was more notes that I was able to follow. I'm going to be able to give you some timestamps for the video. You're going to be able to watch and listen to only the section that matters to you, and that's going to be good. So if you enjoy the video, if you learn anything, make sure you let me know in the comments. If you have any question as well, I would love to answer them for you. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. You can also come say hi on Twitch. I pretty much stream every single day on there. If you have any question, if you just want to say hello, that would be very, very nice. I would appreciate it. Until then, my friend, I hope to see you in Sanctuary and in the next season with your brand new character that you're going to be good to go and ready to level. See you, my friend. Bye-bye.